Hi, I'm Jean-Christophe SAKDAVONG from the CLE Laboratory and the University of Toulouse in France. Today, I will tell you a few words about the effect of virtual reality environment on food and drink perception. Usually, we are eating and drinking either in restaurants or at home. These places are our natural environment for this activity. Unfortunately, scientists need to use sensory booth in order to control the environment while analyzing food and drink perceptions. Why do I tell unfortunately? It's because we know that the environment is completely changing the perception, the hedonic properties, the taste of the food and the drinks. So many studies have proven that sensory booths are not a good environment for food and drink enjoyment. As a consequence, researchers have searched solutions in order to avoid this problem. With virtual reality, they have a way to do it. I will present you a few papers showing how we can use virtual reality in order to bring a more ecological environment to food and drink interviews, and then I will tease a bit what we will try to do in the next webinar. A sensory booth is a very neutral environment. This kind of environment are not able to activate the embodied memory that we have from previous experiences like eating in restaurants, home dinners. This is taken from the grounded cognition theories. But if we immerse a person in a virtual reality realistic environment, then it will help to recall these embodied memories. And the experience of eating and drinking will be more realistic. The feeling of presence, as described by Lee in 2004, is a subjective feeling which can be very interesting for our purpose. According to Lee, the physical presence is more defined as the feeling of being in a real place, of being there. The social presence will be about feeling that there are other persons with me, and the self-presence, that it's really my body which is in this place. And so all these three dimensions will help to give a better environment for food and drink. We will now see 3 studies which have tried to do this. This first study was conducted at the Cornell University. It was about tasting blue cheese. They compared 3 environments. A traditional sensory booth, which was in VR, a visit in the Cornell Botanic Gardens, kind of a neutral, and then a feeding at the Cornell Dairy Barn with cows, and the idea of a bad smell all around. In order to produce this environment, they used 360 degrees camera and all the headsets Oculus Gear VR. They measured the liking, the saltiness, the pungency, and the immersion. The only significant effect that they got was about the pungency of the cheese, which was stronger in the farm environment. The second study was about drinking a sparkling wine and a very good beer. This study was also conducted at the Cornell University. They used the same kind of technological material and had two different virtual reality environments. A typical college bar with rock music and a virtual reality tasting room in a very luxury local winery with classical music. The level of the two musics were the same. Measured the liking, the sweetness, the bitterness, and the immersion during this experiment. They were also interested in the appropriateness of a beverage, according to the context, and the willingness to pay for it. The main result that they got was in the winery, in which people were more willing to pay for the drink and had a greater overall enjoyment of the sparkling wine only. So we can see it's also changing the perception of a drink. The next experiment, and the last one, as there's nearly nothing done in this direction with results, is a chocolate experiment conducted in the University of New Zealand. It was about chocolate, three kinds of chocolate: milk, white, and dark chocolate. And they had three environments. The first one was not in VR. It was a control environment, a traditional sensory booth. And then they had a sightseeing tour in a 5-star hotel, which was very positive with relaxing music. And a second VR environment, more negative, with a noisy live music concert in a cloudy day and crowded with people and loud music. The technology was again 360 video and a little bit more recent but already abandoned VR headset, Oculus Go. They were interested in the common measurements, but also bitterness, emotions, which was quite interesting. And the results were that changing the environment did not affect the hedonic ratings of the chocolates, but the dark chocolate combined with a virtual live concert was really bringing a positive hedonic response and also emotions, which is an interesting result. And what about changing the appearance of food in VR in order to modify human perceptions? First of all, there are very few studies on this subject, but we had some artistic approach from Aero Banquet, which is a bit older but very interesting, where they were changing the appearance of the food. You can go to this link if you'd like. About more scientific approach, the Wang and al. Have changed the appearance of cold brew coffee. You can see here how it was done. You can see it's not so easy because we always have big headsets and you have a stick to drink, and the color for inside the headset was different. And they were studying this. I will not give you many details because it will be another presentation that I will do about this subject. And with the same idea, you have another study from Aman and al. Where they were changing, you can see the appearance of the food. These approaches are very challenging because you need a synchronization between the virtual environment and the real food, the real cup. So it's not so easy to do, but you will see. I will talk a bit about what we will do. And what about an unknown environment? For example, such as a microscopic microbial environment which represents the food you are eating or the drink you are drinking. It could be a realistic one or an artistic, figurative one, as we will show in our next event. Here you can see a preview of this experience. You can drink, but then you are inside the drink fermentation environment. You can also eat real food, and then you are inside such an immersive environment. Be aware that the people who will do it will be really eating some very good food. It could also be a seasonal environment with real seasons as we know them on Earth: winter, summer, spring. But it could also be some kind of figurative one with something very cold place, a very cold place, or a very warm one. I will show you what we will make people to experiment in our next events. This is a cold planet. You can see it's immersive, you have a cold sun and you have some cold stars coming here. And you can eat them. They are cold in real. But the summer's coming. The time is becoming warmer. Time to eat the cold one. It's my ice cream. And then you can see these asteroids which are going from the lava. And you can also eat them. After showing you this, I can only invite you to come to our next events in Finland, and I will be happy to answer to all your questions.